Hello, everybody. Happy Monday. I always have to check what day it is. We are so excited that I'm going Instagram live with Nurse Kay today to celebrate the launch of her book on the Lumify Marketplace, which I'm so excited about. And honestly, I wish I had this book when I graduated nursing school because it would have saved me a lot of challenge. There's so much wisdom in her book, and I'm so excited to learn more about her writing process and what went into it. We're going Instagram Live with Nurse Kay to talk about her book, which is called From Student to Nurse. Hey, Nurse Kay, how are you?
Hey, how are you?
Good. Happy Monday. Thank you so much for going Instagram Live with me. I'm so excited.
I'm so happy to be live with you. Hold on, let me put my headphones in
Oh, yeah, go
before I
for
don't
it.
hear a
I'm going to
thing.
tag the book too on the Instagram Live so that people can work. I think it will allow me to. Instagram Live is the technology with this pinning of a product
Things I should
is
have done beforehand.
challenging. How are you? Are you calling in from New York? Where are you?
Yeah, so I'm in New York right now. Super excited. How about you? Where are you at right now? You're in California.
I've been kind of splitting my time between California and Philly, but I'm actually in Philly right now.
Were you in Philly because of the Super Bowl?
I was.
I love it. I
Yes,
love
which
it.
was kind of crazy. It was a bummer that the Eagles didn't win, but still a really good time.
A lot of bad calls. I'm just putting that out there.
Exactly. Yeah. The
Mm.
refs, I have a lot of thoughts, but that's for another Instagram live, right?
Well, thank you so much for having me on. I'm so excited to talk about my book, and I'm super excited that it's on the Lumify Marketplace. That's like been the best thing in the world for me.
Oh, we're so excited to have it. I was just saying before you got on, I was just reading through the book, and it's like, I wish I had this, like, when I graduated nursing school, or even before graduating nursing school. Like, I feel like there's so much when you walk into the nursing profession that is, like, so niche to us as nurses. And I,
Hmm.
I think, like, nursing school, it doesn't prepare you for everything. You learn so much on the job. So, like, having a kind of survival guide handy is so amazing. So, would love to hear like what was the inspiration to create this book, and maybe you could just tell us like a little bit about the origin story.
Oh, sure, definitely. So, first things first, I've been a nurse for quite some time. This is my 11th year in nursing. Um, so I noticed, especially during the pandemic, that there was just a very big gap with the newer nurses that were coming into the profession. And it was mainly because, these were the nurses that were going through clinicals, and they just felt like very ill prepared because this was their first exposure to a hospital, and their exposure to a hospital is now in the middle of a pandemic. So
Yeah.
I found that while I was on the floor, while I was precepting, while I was just having discussions, just like encourage new nurses, that I was having these conversations. They were worried about things like how to be charged, things about floating, worried about bullying, being exposed to things like death for the first time, to the stress of being a new nurse. And then I thought about my own experience as a new nurse, things that I wish somebody would have told me when I jumped into the profession. And
Yeah.
that's kind of what built that idea to write this new nurse survival guide. And funny story, a lot of these tips, when I first started making my platform, before I got into Reels, I actually did used to write like little tips every week.
Oh, cool.
So a lot of these the chapters were born from the tips that I wrote and did the research for. And then I just like, let me take each of those tips and expand upon it. And I spoke to like my coworkers, spoke to some like my friends in nursing, and said, hey, what would you have wanted to hear when you were a new nurse?
Yeah.
And that's kind of how this book was created. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is so amazing. And for anyone listening, I mean, this is over 120 pages of knowledge. Like, this is not just like a few tips. Like, this is really like an in-depth book. And I think it's so cool that, one, you kind of already had a lot of content from your Instagram, but then two, you kind of had asked your peers for tips and kind of what they would want to know. Because completely agree, I think the pandemic was a hard time for all of us, but I think especially new nurses, nursing students at the time doing virtual clinical and everything. Like, it was just absolute madness. And then I think also to enter the profession in just this chaotic time, you know, if you entered in a normal like baseline level, it's already kind of chaotic. And then add in the pandemic, it's heard a lot of crazy stories of just like new grads being thrown in without even full orientation,
Yeah.
which is just so crazy. So curious, like how long did it take you to write this? I know you said you had some content prepared, but like maybe walk us through your creative process for like how to even like think about organizing the book and like it's like there's so much knowledge in there. I'm just like curious how you broke it all down.
So first I started thinking about going through the entire process, the new nurse process, from graduating to preparing your resume. I started thinking about the things that I did going through my profession. So that's how I kind of created that organization of it. Like, let's go through the step by step. And then one thing was a lot of time doing research because I don't ever want to present information without knowing that I'm finding great sources. So I looked up things through like nursing journals, through psychology journals, especially things with regards to stress and burnout, and even reading a lot of sources and like just different journal articles to truly get like a holistic sense of research for this book. But remember, I was a full-time nurse, a full-time content creator. So I was actually writing these on my days off
Wow.
at night, because since I work at night, I tend to be up during the night. So I would write a little bit, and I gave myself a goal like to try to finish a chapter a day. And then I did a chapter a day, and then I did like the designs, the artwork, all that stuff, kind of
Yeah.
sourcing the imaging and all that stuff.
It's
So
amazing.
it took me about a month.
Wow.
Yeah.
The fact that you did this while also being a full-time nurse, content creator, in school, everything. I mean, it's like so inspiring. And I love all the graphics. And it really does have everything from communication to time management, documentation, which I think is huge, really big help. I think that's an area that is like, you walk in and you just don't even know. That was like, I didn't barely even learn anything about documentation in nursing school. Um,
Yeah, like I think one of the biggest things that I thought about, especially, was like things that I didn't hear in nursing school: how to chart, how to give
wow.
report, how to deal with speaking to a provider for the first time. Because I
Yeah.
know the first time a provider yelled at me, I thought it was the craziest thing in the world. But just preparing yourself for conversations like that, even being prepared to speak to angry family members, which was something that I felt was
Mm.
very important, and that a lot of nurses were very uncomfortable with, because it happens. It's a part of our profession that we
Yeah.
deal with things that are unexpected. So I just kind of like thought of different things that would really appeal to the new nurse. And like I said, that I wish I heard or that I was told when I was a newer nurse.
Yeah. No, it's so brilliant. And I really wish this could just be like a required reading. Like you take the NCLEX and then, okay, we're reading Nurse Kay's From Student to Nurse book because I think there's like a level of, just like wanting to walk in and feel that level of confidence and feel like you can really do this because it is overwhelming. And I think that just having some tools to walk in at least, feeling a bit more prepared or kind of having some strategies in the back of your mind is just, it makes such a big difference. Um, so would love to know maybe if you could give us a little sneak peek into some of your favorite tips or things that when you were writing from student to nurse, like things that came up that stuck out to you as like, oh wow, like this is definitely like a big game changer.
So one of the things that I found was like one of my biggest game changers, and it's ironically not one of the clinical things. It was about um, understanding your nursing salary. So
Mm.
as a newer nurse, I fell into the trap of when I got my first nursing paycheck, and I did not pay myself first. Instead I paid Louis Vuitton, and
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
but do I regret the purchase? Not particularly. But at the end of
You
the day,
deserved it.
I think about things like that, the importance of how important it is to manage your money. Understand that you do have negotiating power. Understand that it's important to have those good money saving tips to pay yourself first, live below your means, start thinking about retirement, because as a 20 something, as a 20-year-old, a 21-year-old coming into the profession, you're not thinking about your retirement plan or
Right,
the
right.
next 40, 50 years, thinking about getting into a 401k, a 403b, a Roth IRA. And I think that was something that was like a very a chapter that I loved. Another chapter that I really you know how I feel about documentation, that was like one of my favorites.
It's so brilliant.
But I think the one thing I really loved talking about were like the leadership difficulty, like the leadership skills, how to become a charge nurse,
Mm.
how to delegate, because those are two things that I felt like I had a lot of trouble with as a newer nurse as well, because coming as a professional a lot younger, you had difficulty delegating to someone who's older than you, or not knowing if you had what it takes to be charged on the floor. So those are some of my favorite tips that I was able to share with everybody in this book.
Those are so cool. Thank you for sharing those, because I think those are brilliant. Definitely two topics that are under talked about in nursing school. And you're so right. I mean, you enter the profession, it's, maybe your first time really getting a salary, like this is your first time seeing, dollar bills, and that you maybe just don't even know how to save, how to invest into a Roth IRA, blah, blah, blah. So super cool that you included that knowledge. And one thing that is sticking out to me, well, I guess two things. One is chapter 14, which is new nurse bullying, and then also chapter 17, stress and burnout. The new nurse bullying really stood out to me because I have experienced this firsthand, just being the new nurse. And even in nursing school, I think it happens too, where you maybe are asking questions and they're not always well received, or you're navigating different conversations that you have never experienced before. And sometimes you feel like I did, like a little bit of imposter syndrome, like, oh, well, like I'm still trying to learn. Would love to hear if you have kind of any big takeaways from the new nurse bullying and maybe why you decided to include that.
So new nurse bullying, like just like you, I experienced it as a new nurse, and I felt like it was something that's very important to include in this book, because it it's an unfortunate reality of our profession. It shouldn't be, and our generation, we're working or striving to remove that from our generation, but it's something that nurses may not expect to deal with. They come into
Yeah.
the profession expecting positivity, expecting the utopia that nursing school kind of describes the nursing profession to be, and to
Yeah.
come into this space where you're trying to learn and to find somebody taking you down or making you feel less than. I think it's something that it's very difficult to deal with and to adjust and to just to really understand. So
Yeah.
the major point of that chapter, what I really wanted to highlight was nurse bullying is not okay, and to empower nurses to know what they can do, how to stand up for themselves, how they can escalate, to
Yeah.
ensure that something like this doesn't happen. So even if something like this is happening to them, they know what proper channels they can report to, so that they feel safe in their work environment. Because at the end of the day, a nurse bully creates an unsafe working environment.
Yes.
And I think for stress and burnout, I went through it. We all went through it. And it's very hard to that feeling of this, everything that you sacrificed so hard to work, that you worked so hard to get into the nursing profession, that it's a source of stress for you.
Yeah.
And it just comes with not cultivating proper coping mechanisms sometimes. Like, we tend to give so much of ourselves to the profession that we forget, when you're outside of work, let that time be your time.
Yeah.
Creating good stress management tips, the importance of, just finding somebody to talk to, that mental health as a healthcare professional is essential. And I
Yeah.
think that's why it was very important for me to include those two chapters in this book.
Ah, Nurse Kay, I love it. You are just, everything is so amazing. I'm literally obsessed with, so I'm not even just saying that. It is so amazing. And it really is such a big impact too, to have all of this knowledge in one place. And I completely agree with everything you shared. I feel just even the empowering aspect of this, and knowing just some tips and tricks for how to even navigate these things, is because you just sometimes don't even know who to turn to really to ask these questions. And it's really interesting kind of how I think this book is such a cool symbol of really your journey too as a content creator. Because, and correct me if I'm wrong, like I feel like throughout your journey kind of starting on Instagram and everything, like I'm sure people reach out to you all the time with questions and like commented. How much of you do you feel like your kind of journey of being a content creator has like now lended into this wealth of knowledge?
Oh, I think 100% of that jumped into here because I feel like a lot of being content creator was like, I always said my DMs are always open. Please feel free to ask me questions. But I felt like I was getting the same questions over and over again. And I sat there and realized like, okay, I could keep copying and pasting the same response, or I could keep giving the same response to different people, or I can find something that can truly help nurses, because I think that's like the biggest goal of my platform. I laugh, I create jokes, I make funny videos, but my goal has always been to empower nurses, to create a space of positivity. So through everybody just asking me questions, I was able to create this book where I was able to take all the advice that I had been giving to my followers over the past 2 years, oh no, 3 years,
Wow.
and have it
Time
in one
flies.
space. I know, like I started in May of 2020,
Wow.
and getting to put it together in a space that they could find it, it's accessible to them, and they could benefit from it, which I really love.
It's so amazing. And I think what really excites me too about this book and it being on the Lumify marketplace is I feel like we have like very synergistic kind of missions, and that I feel like for me as a nurse, like I always wanted to access resources like this, but sometimes I just felt like overwhelmed, like knowing where to turn to. And like there's so many things out there that are helpful, but honestly, I just felt too overwhelmed, like as a nurse, especially as a new grad, to even know like where to start. So, with the Lumify marketplace, the kind of vision for that came because when we launched the light, it was like, oh, it's awesome. We have this wearable light, and it was like a product or whatever. But I would kind of realize like, wow, there really is an essential place for like nurses and nursing students and healthcare workers to just turn to be like, oh yeah, that has everything I need. Like I can go there, search what I need for. And I feel like this is such a great example of that, where it's like, this is a product, a resource that like every nursing student should have in the country, like everyone, because, the turnover rates too for new grads are staggering. There's really kind of staggering percentages out there of new grads turning over, leaving the profession, things like that. And I think a big reason for that is because we're kind of thrown in with like limited resources, and we're like, it's like, oh, go figure it out. And then you ask questions and sometimes they're not well received. And I think that can just, eat at you. It definitely did for me. So I'm just so excited that this is in the Lumify marketplace, because it's really just like the perfect example of like, this is hopefully now going to be really easy to find for everyone and really accessible.
Now that's like that was kind of like the greatest gift for me this year, having it be like you guys offering to like put in the Lumify marketplace, just because the Lumify marketplace is one of the greatest places for healthcare workers just to find everything that they need. It's all accessible, and I've always had I knew I was trying to put it out there. I was trying to mention that I wrote this book, but I'm very terrible at self promotion. I actually hate talking about like myself quite
I
often.
feel that.
So to have a space where I'm able to like actually like it's there and the nurses get to see what it's all about just from the jump. Like you guys created this space for me to really distribute it to as many nurses as possible, and that's been like the greatest gift, especially during Black History Month. Yeah.
Yes, I know. It's so exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I do want to show everyone the product on the Lumify Marketplace too, because
Mm-hmm.
one of my favorite parts too is that it's a digital download.
Yes.
So you don't need to worry about shipping or anything. You just buy it directly and it'll download, which I think is so awesome that you did that too, because again, like accessibility and like, I don't know, everyone like can just read it on your phone or whatever. It's
Yeah.
super easy. So yeah, I guess we can show everyone. I have
Mm-hmm.
it pulled up. So here
Did
is your
everything
page,
myself.
looking iconic, glowing.
Ah,
Um,
did my
love
makeup
it.
myself
And then,
during that photo shoot. Just putting it
oh
out there.
my God, it worked. So yeah, this is the product. Again, you just buy it directly, and then it downloads right onto your tablet or computer device, which is so awesome. And I'm just so excited that, hopefully more nursing students will have this. And we'll definitely have to do some big promotions for like new grads and stuff at graduation. Like this is the best graduation gift you can get anyone.
Oh, I think so. Like I feel like even with so I think, I don't know, as I've spoken to you, I'm currently working in nursing education right now.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
so I actually work with new grad nurses as a hospital, so nursing professional development as a hospital nurse educator.
Oh,
And
wow.
even though like these nurses have like access to me, and I'm trying to like remember everything I wrote down in this book, like, hey, this piece of advice, it's like I as even though I wrote it, I still can't remember everything, how I put it down, how I worded it. So
Yeah.
having the book from student to nurse and giving it to newer nurses and to new grads or to senior nursing students, it's like, okay, everything is there. It's organized for you. When you need it, you'll find it. Because when you're in the job search, you can look for the first part of the book. When you're on the floor preparing for preceptorship, you can preparing the document for medications. You have the second part, and when challenges arise, like committing, like, I even put a chapter about med errors and how to deal with when you make a mistake on the floor. So
Yeah.
everything is there for that first year, which is your journey to becoming a professional nurse.
Yeah. That is so amazing. I mean, like, I just can't underestimate how, like, this is really a tool for patient safety, for, our well-being as healthcare workers. Like, having this knowledge, it all really does add up to, providing better patient care, and also just being able to have well-being for ourselves as healthcare workers. You have covered basically everything, even plugging nursing resumes and cover letters, which is so awesome because we even get a lot of questions about that, like resumes, cover letters, like templates and things, because that's another thing that, like, you don't, if I guess, but it's not like they cover that in nursing school. At least they didn't for me. Nursing interviews too, another topic that's like, did anyone ever talk about that?
Yeah. Even the
um,
questions you could ask. The funny thing too is I actually mentioned a couple of our other resources in the Lumify Marketplace while doing the resume chapter, the
oh,
Renegade resume. I was like, you can
yeah,
link with a clickable link, you can go directly to her website. So
I
you guys
love
are
that.
prepared for all these things.
No, it's so awesome. I know that's another really good resource. Shout out Renegade Resume. It's so helpful to have like templates and whatnot. But yeah, congratulations on this book. I'm so excited about it, and you're an author too. It's like, okay.
Like, I'm not even waiting to be published in a journal. I self-published.
Yeah, no, a full author. It's amazing. Um, and just I can't say it enough, but like, if you're a new grad, or if you're even a nursing student, check out From Student to Nurse, because it really does have everything you need. And like, having that knowledge from day one, it's a really empowering thing. And to know that it came from you, Nurse Kay, as someone who's been through it, as someone who's an educator, um, we can't really do any, like, it's as good as it gets. Like, that's amazing, because I think I see some resources out there that aren't really written by nurses, or they aren't really giving the real tea. You know what I mean? They aren't giving the real stuff because maybe it wasn't written by healthcare workers, or didn't have that level of kind of transparency. So I think just goes to show that, like, nurses build the best tools and resources for nurses.
Exactly. We know what we need to do to build each other up because we've been through it. Like, this is the culmination of my experience and different, like from LPN to now, like working in long-term care, working in med surg as a traveler, grad school. Like, this is the culmination of all this experience, and it's because I've had these lived experiences that I'm able to shine a reality, shine a light on
Yeah.
these things that I've experienced. Like, I always make a joke, like all the little quotes that I put in like the front of it. These are things that I either said or were said to me during my career. Like, there was like, I think the chapter about medications, like, what do you mean I have to medicate 52 people? I said that my first day as an RN in a nursing home. So
I
things
love
like that,
that.
like the reality of what I had to deal with in the profession. So that's like the fun part about it. The lived experience creates this resource that can help other people going through their own lived experience.
Yeah. That's so amazing. Yes, nurses know what nurses need. I absolutely love that. And just so excited to have this in the Lumify Marketplace again. Thank you so much, Nurse Kay, for telling us a bit more about your journey, starting this journey of writing the book and all the thought that went into it. I think it's like the perfect product for you specifically to create, and it's just so inspiring to have all of these resources in one place. So thank you so much for joining the Lumify Marketplace. We're so honored to have your book. And we always end our Instagram lives with the same questions. I'm pretty sure we've done an Instagram live together before, so you've probably been asked this before, but I'm curious if your perspective has changed, which is why you think that unity in healthcare is so important even now more than ever.
My perspective has not changed. It's more so expanded. Unity is important right now because nursing is is in a very strange space right now. If you think about it, healthcare is in a very strange space right now. Um, Although we are the most trusted profession, there's certain things right now where it seems like trust in nurses is at an all-time low. So it's
Yeah,
important for us to unify together to elevate the profession so that other people can see that no matter what others are doing, what others are doing to try to break down the nursing profession, we're here, we're elevating it, we're doing our best to make it the best space that it can be. And then in terms of unity in healthcare, we're not in silos. We don't work individually. We are
yeah,
a multidisciplinary team. So it's
yeah.
important to have that unity between us, between nursing support staff, physicians, respiratory, EVS, everybody that works together to ensure that the patients are getting the best quality care. And if we are so limited and only focus on ourselves and our space, our lane in healthcare,
Yeah.
we we don't get to we don't get to benefit from the experience of so many other people. Like, this book came out because there's experience that I had, but it's experience that I gained from working with CNAs, from working with EVS, from working with respiratory, from working with so many other disciplines.
Yeah.
And you limit yourself by just focusing on in your own lane and not expanding and uniting with the rest of the healthcare profession.
So well said. I 1000% agree with everything. To start on your point about, the current state of our profession, I think it's been a lot. It's been really heavy. I think there's been a lot of situations that have happened like fairly like in a short time span. It's been like kind of one thing after another, which has been just like a little bit overwhelming, honestly. I think especially with social media and everything, there's a lot of positives, but it's just kind of constant like things that are going on. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that really standing together, as you said, elevating the profession, and showcasing, that nursing is such a versatile degree and it's such a versatile profession. I actually love in the book, in the kind of new grad tip section, you say um, something about research and really kind of researching what your path is, and then knowing that everyone's path is different and finding what is best for you. I think that really resonated with me because I was kind of like a random, like, wanted to like start, this product and wanted to like build this tool for nurses, and everyone looked at me like I was crazy. But really, nursing is so versatile and there's so many things you can do. So I love that point and love that you highlighted that in the book. And also, of course, the unity in our different types of colleagues in the clinical setting and in healthcare. You also talk about that a lot in the book with communication, which
Mm-hmm.
is so cool. And 100%. I mean, that is what Lumify Fam is all about too, is just, we're all in this together. We all have the same goal.
100%,
So,
100%. Yeah.
oh, it's so amazing. Well, Nurse Kay, thank you so much. Is there anything else that you would want to share about the book that I didn't ask about?
I think you've kind of like covered it all. I just really hope that new nurses get the opportunity to just take a look at it and read, download, and just hopefully it can benefit your career the same way that it's benefited a lot of other nurses um, that I've been speaking to, that have bought it, that have downloaded it. So that's all I hope, that it really does get to help.
Oh, it definitely will. I mean, I'm just reading and I'm like, oh wow, that's so true. Like, it's so smart. It's like, oh, I wish I knew that tip. I wish I knew that. So it's so wonderful. So yes, everyone, go get your copy of From Student to Nurse. Even if you're, a seasoned nurse or seasoned healthcare worker, this would be an awesome gift for a new grad or really anyone you're precepting or working with. And thank you so much, Nurse Kay, for sharing your story. And congrats on the launch. I'm so excited about it. And can't wait to get it out there even more.
Yeah. Thank you so much, and thank you for having me like on the Lumify Marketplace. I'm so excited. I've been working with Lumify for so long.
I
It's one of my
know.
favorite like companies. So it's like getting to be really a part of like the marketplace. Like, ah.
It's so special. I know. Thank you so much for supporting Lumify, like from the beginning. You were Nurse Kay was the OG when we did like a 5 days of night shift campaign or something when we launched in like 2021, which is so crazy.
I
Um,
remember.
how did time go by so quickly though? Like that's so trippy to me.
I know. I think during I was in grad school then, and now I'm actually working. Like it's insanity, but
How
I
is that?
love it.
I know we're kind of wrapping up, but curious, like, how has your new role been as a nurse educator? Like, how has that transition been after school?
It's actually been so strange, but I love it because we spoke on live before. I actually remember I went to school to be an NP.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like shifting gears into what my passion was. My passion's always been teaching nurses. My passion's always been education. But going through it's only been a week, so I'm in my second week right now. And I'm just sitting there realizing that, yeah, this was the right choice for me. Nursing education was the right decision for me because the feeling I get when I'm working with an orientee and seeing, hey, the light go off. I love that.
Yeah.
And I just can't wait to like follow them through that year journey. I'm just glad that I went down this path. Hopefully practice is something I do expand upon in the future, but education right now is the right decision for me.
That's so exciting. Congrats. Wow. You are by far like the best nurse educator. Just you are so uplifting and empowering and have made such a big impact really on the nursing community with all the content you put out there and just all the good vibes. So thank you for everything you've done, Nurse Kay, for our profession. And congrats again on the book. So excited. And we can't wait to get it out there for everyone to read it.
All right, thank you so much for having me, Anthony.
Yeah,
It was
of
exciting. This
course.
was
I'll see you
great.
soon. Have a
See
good
you soon.
afternoon. Bye. Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye, everyone.